Hello, hello. Just getting set up here. Getting all these things situated, making sure I'm in the right group. Beautiful. Hi. Okay, let me dive in here. If you are here, please say hello. I am so excited to have you. So excited. I'm nerve-sighted. This is what happens when I'm really jazzed and I'm also like, on that spectrum of introvert and extrovert, like exactly in the middle. So I'm like this extroverted introvert or introverted extrovert. And yeah, it doesn't matter how many lives I do, I always get very nervous. So, but yeah, let me know you're here. Hi, Shannon. Oh my gosh, I haven't seen you in forever. I always like feel very connected to you though when I see you on the internet. Oh, good. Okay. I have a lot to share today, and you might see me looking at my screen. Let me see if I can move these things. Yeah. I have an outline. Hi, Lise. Oh, hi, Karen. Yes. Oh, good. Oh my gosh, this is gonna be so juicy. I literally have an outline because I'm like, I have so much shit to share, and I am just like, it's Mercury's in retrograde. Today is Mercury's day. My ascendant is ruled by Mercury. I'm like, I need to be able to stay really focused. So if you see me going to an outline, that is why. And I just want this to be as nourishing and informative and grounding and helpful as possible. I did some empathy calls with some individuals in this space and some other spaces that all have intuitive-led, soul-based businesses. And I learned a lot about what everyone is sort of feeling in terms of where they get stuck with branding, and realized, I knew I had a lot to share. Sometimes you forget that when that's like part of who you were before you became a healer or whatever. But I also recognize there's just a lot of fear or misunderstanding of like how much you actually need to know to be able to put together a good brand. And, also brand, that's slightly subjective because it is design and art and visual or whatever. But there are some key like strategies and stuff that, should be in place to achieve what you're trying to achieve. Oh, good. Hi, Amanda. Hi, Lauren. Oh my gosh. Shannon, you're all over the place. Oh, well, I'm really glad that you're here. Okay. So I mentioned this in the note today, but, get settled in, make sure you have a notebook, a writing utensil, whatever, take notes on your computer, whatever feels good. Grab your tea or a fancy beverage. I have Lion's Mane kombucha in a wine glass because that makes me feel special. Yeah, and we'll be here for about an hour. And I think I already messed up on this, but if you have small ears, little children around you listening, I tend to accidentally have a potty mouth. So I just want to give you a little warning there in case you need to adjust for that. Hi, Emily. You guys, this is like so fun already. Okay, let's dig in. So again, I have a lot to share, so I'm going to try to stay on track. Feel free to drop in comments, questions. If I don't get to them because I missed them or something, I'll scan through them after and make sure I get to all of your answers. You can always reach out to me on DM, all of that jazz. But just to give you a little framework about how tonight is going to go, I'm going to talk about branding, obviously. We're going to walk through an exercise, which I talked about, to connect to, you like my potty mouth, thank you. I can't help it. I think it's the fire in me. But anyway, I'm going to share about, this exercise to help you connect to your brand's essence. And it's something that you can take the format that I share with you and go on your own journey with this, however that feels good for you. This is just like sort of a launching point for you. And just knowing that you can connect to your brand in this way is like really cool. Anyway, and then I'm going to share with you how you can take this work further in a new program that I just cooked up and launching. I'm officially launching it next week, but I wanted to share, first in this community. And, You may already see the link up there, but that is to get a worksheet that will take you forward after this exercise. And it also drops you onto the wait list if you're interested in learning more about this program. Yeah, awesome. Okay, let's see. I've given us enough time before diving in here. Alrighty. Every time I do move something, everything gets messed up here. Okay, beautiful. So let me just begin by introducing myself for those of you that I haven't met yet. It's actually really surprising how many people I do know. You kind of forget that when you have been working in the online space, you know, because we haven't met in person. Anyway, life is weird, time is weird, everything is weird right now, the energy is crazy. But for those of you I haven't met, my name is Beth Porter. I am the face behind my brand, Earth and Ether. I'm an intuitive healer, a life transformation guide, and a brand alchemist. My background is in design. My first design project was actually illustrating embroidery when I was 7 for my mom's creative business. So she took my embroidery illustrations. I remember her making me illustrate the alphabet because she really liked how I did it. And then she digitized all of my designs and sold it. I don't really think I got paid for that, but side note. And then I officially started my career in fashion design after college. And then I shifted into branding and marketing, trend forecasting, et cetera, blah, blah, blah. Without getting into my whole life story for you, I come to you now as a designer turned intuitive healer and sort of see myself as like a bridge between those two spaces. Yeah, so that's why I'm here. So that's enough about me. I want to start by seeing where you are in this sort of like what camp you're in terms of these groupings that I came up with. So again, based on some of these empathy calls that I did in interviewing, and also I've done a lot of sort of like work with some, healers and intuitives on the side that have shared some of their fears with me around branding. So I want you to take a moment and just let me know which of these sort of resonates with you. Yeah, and you can just type in, oh, Elise, you're my zone of genius. Thank you. Isn't it funny? So side note about this, I've like pushed away this branding thing for a really long time. And then like people just started coming to me. Everyone loves everyone who's on my email list. Like every time I send out an email, I at least get 1 or 2 messages about how beautiful they are, how somebody like saves my email to like cherish like a little gift, which is really, really sweet. And I was just like, oh, that's awesome. And I like put it in a happy thoughts folder. And then, yeah, at the beginning of January, it was like, dude, like guides and everyone, including Elise and Kylie, were like, dude, you really need to do this. Like, this is a thing. So I'm really excited to be here and doing it. And Amanda, yeah, I'll hook you up with some of my old school embroidery illustrations. Anyway, all right. So think about which camp you're in. And I want you to just like type it into the comments if you feel comfortable sharing. Yeah, there's four that I kind of came up with. So 1, when it comes to branding, you're totally overwhelmed, don't know where to start. Maybe you feel a little bit dumb when it comes to branding, or just like it's a space that's like there's a total block around it, or like it has a lot of rules that you just don't understand. 2, and I'm burping a lot tonight. 2, you have a good sense of what you're drawn to. Maybe you already have a brand started and you like what you've got going on. You know what you like and know what you don't like, but you're not really sure how to like tweak your brand to fully express you or your work. 3, maybe you offer multiple modalities, tools, services that seemingly don't totally connect, and you're having a hard time like being able to tell your story. I actually saw that a lot. There's a lot of manifesting generators that are very confused about how to tie their story together, from a visual standpoint. And yeah, the other one, 4, and this is something that I am very guilty of all the time, but you have brand envy. You see other people's brands and don't feel like you know how you can get there without spending like a shit ton of time and money and, revisions and work and just confusion. So let me know where you feel like you fall in this, or if you have something different, please share. I would love to know. With all of that, I want to first say that you are a badass. you're a badass for stepping out and following your soul's calling. And creating and running an intuitive business is no joke. Like, all your shit comes up to be worked with. It's a common, cycle of things that just, every time you up level or whatever, you have to work with more things. So we all know that here, but I just wanted to reflect that back. And we often give our clients or customers, or however your business is set up, a lot more grace and compassion than we give ourselves for that. It's really not pretty sometimes. So with that, just take a collective deep breath. And just like give yourself a pat on the back or like a squeeze for being here, doing your thing. I'm really proud of you, and I know how hard it is. And yeah, I'm here for you. Okay, so next, let me just see what these numbers are coming in. Ooh, 2 and 3, 3/4, a 3, all of them in some way. Yeah, 1 and 4 combo. Totally. And yeah, they're not, it's common to be in these spaces is what I wanted to share, basically. Cool. So next, I just want to say that it's totally okay to not know the ins and outs of branding and design. That is why you are not a brand designer. That is why there are jobs. Like, that was my whole job, to just design brands. And actually, it was another job to just be on one brand, not all the brands. So, these are legit professions, and there's a reason why you're not in that. So it's totally fine. And also, you don't really, Emily, with a sprinkle of brand envy of earth, heart, big hearts to you. Yeah, well, envy, actually, I'll just do a side note on envy because I didn't talk about this later, but like, envy really just shows you things that you like, So when you're noticing the envy, just be like, ooh, I'm going to grab, like, acknowledge what you like about that space, about that brand, maybe screen grab some things and pull it aside, because you'll use that later in terms of like liberating what the attributes are that come through in your brand. So envy is actually a really good thing. Anyway, I don't mean to go into that all the way, but yeah, I just want you to know that it's okay that you don't know the ins and outs. You don't really need to have good branding. What you need and what's important in this role, in this space, is to be able to have discernment and self-sovereignty in order to be able to articulate, evaluate, and truly express your brand. So think about this, like, most CEOs, and maybe you know this, maybe you don't, but most CEOs, and actually Amanda reminded me of this the other day, and I was like, oh, totally. Like, most of them know nothing about branding. I've worked really closely with CEOs. Like, I was the brand expert. I was the creative director. Like, he knew nothing about brand and marketing, and that's not his role, right? So they hire people that are experts that they trust to do that. You think about people who work for these brands that do design, they are essentially the stewards of the brand. So what I did as part of my role is, when things came through and if things needed to be evaluated, designs need to be evaluated, copy, all the things, any even like the places that the brand would show up in, like stores or partnerships, like that needed to go through the brand steward, but here's the deal. You are the CEO of your brand. Even though it's a soul-based business, you're, whatever, you don't have to call yourself a CEO if you don't want. I call myself the CLO, the Chief Learning Officer. Anyway, you need to be a leader. You're the one that's holding the vision for the brand. And whether or not you're working with a designer, a photographer, a VA, by confidently stepping into this role, everything on the back end will run a lot smoother. It'll save you time and money, and you'll feel like you will know what your brand needs and wants. So it's really not about being like the design visionary. It's really, if you're like totally not traditionally creative or think you're creative, obviously you're creative because we're all working with creative energy, but artistic specifically, then you're going to hire a designer. But how do you know who to hire? How do you know if, when they send you stuff back, like how to evaluate that? You need to be able to understand your brand, have a foundation with your brand, be connected to your brand, so that you can be the authority, so that you can be the one that's like, yes, no, this is why. It needs to be more like this. And again, you don't have to be able to like see what it needs to be or see the exact how, but you need to be able to communicate that. Now, I know a lot of people in here are probably doing this on your own as well, and that's totally fine, but you still need to be able to, it's even more important for you to be able to have your own discernment, because when you go into like Creative Market or Canva and you get really overwhelmed by all the templates and then you feel like trapped in a box, like you need to be able to like know how to work with all that stuff so that you can curate your brand. And so you're not like jacking off somebody else's brand, which again, envy is a thing and appreciation is a thing. But I think of your brand, you know how like in our work, I'm saying our, because I think a lot of people in this space, given the title of this group, are potentially doing, some type of healing work. And I think the ultimate goal for most practitioners, healers, whatever, is to help people be in their authenticity. And we know that when we are truly authentic, that's when we are the most free. That's when we are the most magnetic. That's when we are, truly ourselves. And that's like the ultimate goal, right? Well, and we want to like celebrate our authenticity, right? We want to like celebrate our wholeness and all that jazz. And half of this work is like, reclaiming all the parts of you that you've like thrown away or hidden and yada, yada. Your brand is similar. So, in the last year, especially, like so many people have come out into this space of online coaching, healing, mentoring, magical new brand ideas, like all these things, business ideas have exploded over the last year, which is amazing. And you need to find a way to stand out in a way that's actually authentic, because we know that everything is energy. The energy of your brand has to match the energy that you express it as, if that makes sense. So your brand is going to have an authentic energy that you express through what you do, through copy, your tone of voice, even like how you show up, one day, like maybe you're the background of, where you are filming, your emails, like all the obvious places like social media and stuff. But you want every single touch point, every single way that someone engages with your brand, whether they're like consuming content of yours or just like seeing you pass through their scroll, you want them to feel and connect with the energy that you've intended. And that's what you can do with brand. So yeah, that's super important. Okay, I feel like I need to take a sip of water. How are we doing? How is this coming through for you so far? Oh, actually, on second thought, kombucha was probably a really bad idea since I'm burping so much. Anyway, all right, a couple of reasons why branding is important, which you probably already know, but I'm just going to reflect them back. One, well, you know what? I'll step back a second. I'll even acknowledge if you feel a little weird about the word brand, like I need a brand, because it doesn't feel like, what's the word? Lightworker-esque. It doesn't feel spiritual. Totally honor that. That's understandable. I have some weird, I've experienced weirdness with that. But branding is just a tool, and it's just a way. It's like the vehicle to express. And it's the word that we use right now, to work through this stuff. Okay, good. It sounds like, so I know I'm a few steps ahead, so I'm just checking comments. Makes sense. Elise, we could totally do a brand audit. I am doing one-on-one sessions now. That would be so fun. Okay, I almost went down a whole path about Elise. Okay, bring it back. So a couple of reasons why branding is important. One, we live in a visual world. I mean, everything, I don't have to explain that. We're all scrolling on shit all day. And I see branding as the intersection of design and psychology. Branding actually like helps people. The goal of having a brand, or a goal of a brand, is to promote trust between you and the souls that you're attracting. You and your community, your audience, your consumers, whatever you like to call them. The idea is to promote trust. And because we live in, I already said this, but because we live in this visual world, you really want what comes out to communicate what you intend, so that again, it's in alignment with you as an individual who is like the steward and the leader of the brand, but also people can get what you're trying to say without having to like be face to face with you as well. That all of it syncs up into a nice, like cohesive package. Also, if you think about this, like, you know, we all see brands out there that, you know, if you think about the Instagram grid where it's like quote with a colored background and then photograph and then quote, and then, you know, it has like it like flips back and forth. And like, that's like a, you know, a strategy or a like system in place to make your feed like have a certain cohesive presence. That's like the easiest way for people to like take a snapshot of your brand and get an essence from your brand, right? But if you think about someone doing that and then using, oh, you think I'm very relaxed? That's good. I don't feel relaxed at all. Thanks, Andrea. So burpy. So if you think of somebody doing that, but then using the same image of themselves like over and over and over again, when people see that in their feed, they'll be like, oh, I've already seen this before. And then they won't read what you have to say, right? So it's also understanding the level which you can stray from your, you know, safety net of like exactly what you do to make sure that you're giving people your brand presence, and the level of synchronicity and cohesion that you want to have. So I think that there's a lot more room to play there than people think. And by being able to liberate your brand, you will feel more comfortable playing around with that and giving people new flavors of your energy instead of like the same exact thing over and over again. I hope that makes sense. But essentially, branding is really just a tool, like I said, but it's a really powerful tool. And it can seriously help you set yourself apart. I mean, when I went to start doing my, like, I didn't even realize my brand was like setting me apart until people were telling me. But when I went to build my brand, I pulled together like, you know, brands that I really liked already, or people that had the energy and the essence that I wanted to embody. And, you know, things rolled from there. You know, I hired a good graphic designer to do my logo because I knew I couldn't do that. Meaning like I hate designing logos. Also, if it's my logo, it's never going to get done. So that's another thing. If it's your brand, a lot of times we're like in it, and, you know, it's always nice to have somebody who knows what they're doing bounce ideas off of you. I do not recommend like getting stuff back from a designer and asking your mom and your cousin and your Aunt Susie and your best friend what they think. I've been on the other end of that and had to fire clients because they didn't know how to like discern. Anyway, okay, now I'm going off topic. Back to branding. All right, so who here knows their rising sign in astrology? So for me, my rising is Virgo, my sun is Leo. So we often identify as like, oh, I'm a Leo sun, that's just who I am. And that's true, your sun is the essence of who you are. But it's something that you don't have to like try to do or work with or anything like that. It just is what comes out when you're the most at ease or you're the most triggered, you know, that kind of thing. I mean, there's way better definitions of this, obviously, but I'm just going over here. Yes, okay, Elise, you're a Pisces rising. So my rising is Virgo. So here's the deal. Your rising sign is the vehicle through which you get around life in. It's like the driving force. So when you're reading horoscopes, you actually want to read your rising sign, not your sun, because the rising sign is what determines like the housing of your chart and all that kind of stuff. So I'm seeing Taurus. Andrea has so much Taurus. Leo rising, Cancer rising. I know nothing about it yet. Oh, Shannon, I could totally see Cancer rising. Maybe that's why I like feel so, my moon is in the 4th house ruled by Cancer. So my emotions, I feel very connected to you in that way. Lauren, Sag rising. Oh my God, this is so fun. Oh, you're a Libra rising. Okay. Oh yeah, we talked about that. The justice. So basically, you know, when people first get a glance at you or maybe first touch into your energy, they will feel your rising sign. That's essentially your brand. Obviously, we're super nuanced, we're multidimensional. Your whole chart is going to give you a full picture. I'm not here to do astrology, but you know, that's how other people perceive you. That's in your first house. The first house is all about you, how you appear, how you show up in the world. It's your brand. And so you think of your brand, going back to like our business, think of your brand as the channel or the container or the vehicle through which your work is expressed. So do you want your brand to be a Volvo SUV, or do you want it to be an Outback, which is what I have? I don't know. I can't think of cars. I don't know why that just came through. I'm not a good car person. Maybe you want a Jeep. Anyway, but you want that container to encompass, you know, visually, sensorially, so all the senses, energetically, verbally, all of that stuff falls into your branding. You know, and what's interesting is that oftentimes we have blocks or confusion around branding, and that will stem to like visibility wounds, like a fear of being seen or a fear of being seen for all of you. So maybe you only show off like a certain dimension. For example, one thing that I've been working through is recognizing that my brand is, it comes off very soft and warm and inviting. But what's being left out is like my sassy side, like the part of me that cusses, the part of me that doesn't take myself too seriously, the part of me that's really playful. And so that's something that I've been working to begin infusing into my brand. So with that, I want you to know that like, this is always an evolving thing. Like we're not Nike, like you're not like trying to come up with the perfect icon, brand mark, you know, that everyone is going to recognize. That's not what is needed here. That's also like old paradigm shit. So give yourself permission to evolve as your brand evolves and your brand evolve with you. Does that make sense? That's another thing. I think a lot of people think they have to have it all figured out before they can like launch it. And it is just this like momentum. It's just momentum, and it continues to build and it shifts and morphs. However, like, again, with my brand, I have the same logo all the time, you know, and my colors were very similar like 6 months ago or almost a year ago, but now they're just a little bit more bold as I have shown up more bold. And I play with more color than I did, you know, 2 years ago when I was just more like 2 colors, you know, and all of that grew as I grew to become more multifaceted. Initially, when I started, I thought I was just going to do this one thing, and then all these other things have dropped in. So, you know, allow it to flex with you. Give it the permission to be your partner. You know, I think of my brand as like my teammate, you know, well, it's like a really big part of the team, obviously, but my brand, you know, told me when I first connected with it to stop micromanaging it. And I just like come off working at a company where I was like super micromanaged, and I was like, oh, all right, I hear you. It was like, you need to freaking let me do my thing. Like, you know, so to me that looked like not working, you know, super, super late, and trusting that it's doing things while I'm asleep and things like that. Anyway, we'll get to the connecting to the brand. Oh, Emily, thanks. I'm glad you like my what the hell is. Yeah, there's an irreverence that comes. I have a Sagittarius moon, so that's part of the bluntness and, you know, some of the shadow side of Sagittarius comes out with me, like can be a little bit of a know-it-all sometimes. So anyway, but some of that like irreverence comes through naturally, and it's like, oh, okay. How do I bring this into my brand now? Okay. That's also like growth. You know, you think you're supposed to show up as something, and then you learn that you can show up as yourself, and then you know, continue to evolve. So, all right, let's get ready for this exercise. And I'm going to stop drinking this kombucha, but I'm going to have tea. And yeah, I want you to just like stretch it out. I'm actually going to stand up and shake it out a little bit. This is going to be a little awkward, but we're going to do it. I used to do this before innovation sessions at my brand agency. You take all these like, you know, executives and people that aren't used to like moving at all, and just get them all uncomfortable in a group setting, just move around, do some like opposite connections. So like take your left, you know, your opposite arm to your opposite knee. And this just like helps, I know you all already know this, but it just helps like get our whole brain sort of like resourced and online. Shake it out. All right. That was enough. Cool. So I'm going to guide you through a short journey, but I want us to ground first. So I'm just going to have you do this. I'm going to keep, you know, I'm just going to show you, but I'm going to have you put your hands on either side of your head. So I just do it like in front of my ears, and feet on the ground if you can. If you're laying in bed, just uncross your legs. And this is like making me think of what I would look like if I had a cone head. Anyway. Good. Okay. We're going to do 3 breaths in your nose and out your mouth. On the breath in, I just want you to squeeze your head. On the breath out your mouth, just release. So go ahead and breathe. Breathe in and breathe out. Just focusing your attention on your feet. Breathe in and out. One more. Good. Just bringing the energy down into your body. And close your eyes if you haven't already. Just settle into your breath, into your seat. And just set the intention to deeply connect with your brand in this moment, in this exercise. Set the intention to be open to noticing what comes through and to trusting it. And take a moment to just set aside some doubt and fear that might want to come up. Just allow it to be away from you right now. You can always pick it up later. Good. So in your mind or out loud, with your eyes closed still, say the name of your brand and offer it gratitude. If you haven't landed on a brand name yet, that's totally fine. You're going to want to think of it like you would an unborn baby. So like lots of love and excitement to learn what its name is, to learn who it's going to be. Just set the intention of gratitude. Keep breathing. And just imagine at the base of your spine and the bottoms of your feet that you have roots growing deep, deep under your home, down through all the layers of the earth, all the way down to its core. Connecting into the earth's core and pulling up nourishment and energy from the center of Mother Earth. Follow that rooted path, up through your feet, up your legs, lighting up your root, continuing to travel all the way up your spine, kind of seeing the crown of your head blossoming open. And watch that energetic path, that cord, go all the way up through Father Sky, connecting to the heavens and the cosmos. Good. Just being the bridge between earth and heaven. And just take a moment to, let's invite our guides to be with us tonight. Just notice who shows up for you and bring them in. Whew. Good. And now invite your brand guide to drop in. And just notice its energy, the quality of its essence. Pay attention to if it feels familiar, or maybe it feels new, or maybe there's a new shade that you haven't felt before. Whatever it is, just take note in your mind. Good. And just bringing your attention to your root. Allow yourself to feel safe and supported as we connect to, the brand of your sacred business. We know that all of us here are doing really big, important work in the world. And I can already feel it, just so much gratitude from all of your guides, our guides, for showing up and doing it. And they want to help us. They want to help us reach the right people and feel fully supported, feel fully resourced, so that we can continue to create massive change with more ease. Good. So they're asking us to feel safe. And feel totally okay being in the unknown, allowing yourself to learn. And now come up to your sacral, so your womb space, and just tune into the creative energy that's fizzing about in there. Yeah, just invite it to expand and grow. Good. Allow yourself to touch it. Think of touching it with your mind. Smell it. Does it have a scent that you're picking up on? Allow yourself to just fully be immersed in it, like it's enveloping you. Appreciate it. Allow it to grow. Remember that we all of us, have access to infinite life force and infinite creativity. If you were someone that has been told or was told when you were younger that you're not creative or artistic, or these certain people are creative, or maybe you're creative but only a certain way, that is not true. Everyone has access to this. It is, it's your divine right. And also a tool. It's a tool that gets to flow through you. Okay, good. So moving up into your solar plexus, your power source, and you can place your hand on this area over your navel if you like. Ask your brand to come forward. So kind of see it sort of walk in front of you. And just feel deep in your authenticity. And just notice how that feels. Note any visuals that come to mind to you. Does your brand look like an individual? Does it have a shape, color, texture? Does it just seem like an essence? Be open to how it wants to show itself to you. Good. Now moving to your heart space, see yourself extending a ray of green light out toward the front of you and the back of you through your heart space. Just filled with love and gratitude, filled with that life force energy. And see it connecting to your brand that has come forward. And allow whatever visuals come to mind to you. Does the ray of green light turn into a cape that wraps around the brand, or a cape that wraps around you? Whatever is coming forward for you, just note that. Good. And then moving up to your throat, I want you to actually open your mouth, take a breath, and let out a sigh. Even if it sounds weird. Good. And ask your brand for any language it wants to share. Anything it wants you to consider to connect with. Maybe it is just sound. Maybe words come through. Ask it to share with you. And going further up to the space between your eyebrows, imagine opening the door there, allowing your mind's eye to shine outward. And sort of like, like headlights on a car at night, just like paving the way through darkness and illuminating what you need to see. So what do you see? Again, paying attention to any colors, symbols, shapes, figures, places, even just feelings that come through. And again, don't forget smell. If you're smelling something, that's a thing. Good. Now travel to the top of your head, to your open crown, and feel that space expand wider and wider. Just really allowing more divine light and guidance coming into your system. feeling it just fill up your whole body. And just have some gratitude. Ask your brand, you know, what it needs from you right now, in this moment, today. Allow it to tell you what it wants. When you receive it, appreciate it by just saying, you know, thank you for sharing. And have some kind of closure with it, whether you imagine giving it a hug, shaking its hand like you're doing a business deal, high five. Maybe the two of you move in the same way, so you do like the shoulder dance. Whatever it is, kind of say your goodbye for now. And when you're ready, you can come back to us and just take a moment to jot down some of those insights. I'll give you a second for that. Okay, so these insights can be starting points for you or openings for you to communicate more with your brand. You know, even when you like every day when you go to work, you know, if you're like me and you work from home, when you come into your workroom, you can just greet your office, greet your brand, you know, have an intentional moment with it. If you saw certain visuals, like add that to your altar, or for me, I have this like wall full of stuff, you know, add it to your wall, you know, honor it in some way, build a relationship with it in a way that feels authentic to you, but really just know that that's available to you. You know, if you do channeled writing, if you're connected to Elise in any way, I'm sure you do channeled writing. You can write to your brand. If you go into the records, you can go into the records for your brand. There's so many ways to connect with your brand and really have trust and reverence for it and treat it like it's a partner. We didn't talk about your brand name and if it's different than your actual name or if it is the same. And that's probably a discussion for another day, but either way, you want to treat your brand like it is an entity that works with you versus it being you. We all need to like step outside of ourselves to be able to see the bigger picture. It's the perfect time to do that right now with all this Aquarian energy. And to be able to just like look at things from a non, non-judgment or no emotion or whatever, kind of that perspective. I'm not thinking of the right word right there, but wanting to have, you know, a bird's eye view. And it's really helpful if you use your brand as a partner in that way. Andrea, that makes me so, so happy. I feel like your brand specifically talks to me when I see it, which is really funny. Yeah. So those are starting points. Just be open to building a solid relationship with it. And especially if you're someone who's like nervous about this stuff, like it wants to be channeled through you and you are the person to channel it through. So you need to trust that. And paying attention to like what you get excited about when you see certain things. That's a real thing. Like your, I mean, even if going back to like going to human design, which we didn't really talk about today, it doesn't matter what type you are. If you see something that someone else is doing that gets you excited, like lights you up or whatever, like take note of that, you know? Elise, yes. Oh my gosh. That Elise, what you're sharing about making your brand more edgy. I also just see so much like, I think I said this in the unsolicited moment of my Sagittarius moon coming out in our course together, but I see it as multi-dimension, like way more dimension and like depth, you know, even almost like prisms and like texture within like the colors that you use. Anyway, we can talk about that more offline. Brand guides, our mermaid in a duck. Oh my gosh. And not surprised that, yeah, Amanda loves mermaids. Oh my gosh. Valerie, that's so beautiful. Yeah. 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 That's the other thing. So Valeria is bringing up a good point that like a clear visual that showed up that's been with her all her life. Like, I just want to be like, folks, we are like here for this shit. Like we've all been like training our whole lives for now, you know? So yeah, don't disregard it if it's like something you've seen before. You know what I mean? Like it's like meant to come through you. Oh, Shannon, I'm so glad. I'm so glad. Good. Okay. So like I said at the beginning, there's a link for you to sign up for a worksheet that kind of like takes you to the next steps to putting some words around this. And I have some like questions that you can ask yourself to kind of dig in deeper. And if you want to take this to the next level and bring your brand vision to life and become the leader of your brand, I'm launching a 6-week group course. It's called the Brand Ascension Immersion, the BA immersion. So taking your brand from like blah to BA. See what I did there? Badass. Total dork. Anyway, each session, so yeah, it'll be 6 weeks. It's starting on, yes, February 25th on Thursday evenings. It'll be 90 minutes long. I'm holding space for 13 individuals only. With these sessions, you will receive, like, we're going to be like a tight crew, and you'll bring your stuff and we'll like there's going to be like hands-on work. You'll be able to receive one-on-one support, bring what you're working on. There's 2 sessions that will be just total working sessions, and we'll dig into it together. And it's really cool because if you show up with social media and someone else shows up with an email, you'll be able to understand why I would give certain advice for social media and different advice for email, and show you how you can, you know, understand priority of communication and, you know, utilize all the tools that we have, like the email service providers and Canva, and they're all blanking me now, but I'll show you the tools and systems that I use to keep my brand running, you know, and just teach you easy tips and tricks that will help you to make sure that your brand has a cohesive presence. But yeah, you'll be able to learn from what everyone's doing, no matter what state you're in, if that makes sense. We'll be navigating also some of the gremlins that show up that sort of like block us from being open and creative and, you know, stuck in our fear. So there will be a healing component as well. Like I mentioned, some of the stuff links back to visibility wounds, or just not really accepting our full selves, or feeling too afraid to lead, which I've dealt with all of that. So I'm very steeped there. I'll share some of the systems I use to keep my brand tight. You'll leave with a clear foundation of your brand that you can use for years to come. So it will be, because again, even though my brand has evolved, I still go back to my brand foundation, my brand foundation document that I put together. That's a visual, you know, look, tone, feel situation. And most importantly, you will become the confident leader, you know, of your brand, and having a relationship with it and letting it work for you, not you struggling to work, you know, for it. And a little bonus, when you sign up, I'll be mailing you, like snail mail style, a package that includes mini gifts that will pertain to each week, which I'm really excited about because I just like shit like that. Yeah, so I'm officially launching this course next week, but wanted to share it with this like beautiful community first. I really appreciate the space and the energy that everyone's created here. So if you're interested, sign up to get on the wait list and get the worksheet. And yeah, feel free to reach out to me with any questions or any other insights that came through for you. Otherwise, I am just, yeah, so honored to be sharing with you. I cannot believe I kept this under an hour. That is like magic. And oh, I had to duck out to order dinner. That's okay, Shannon. Oh, Amanda. Oh my gosh, I didn't see these. I'm seeing more like beading pearls. Yes. Well, Amanda, your brand is like, I want to be luxury. I want to be luxury. I love it. Oh, Amanda, thank you. Yes, Amanda and I have a very entangled relationship of life. We were fashion design students together, and then I went to Target, she went to P&G, and I became her client when I got into branding. And yeah, it was really, we're both on a patent for Pampers diapers, so we're famous. Anyway, thank you, Elise, for being here. Thank you all for being here. And I hope you have a beautiful night, and we'll talk soon. Bye.